Hey, everybody, welcome back to Stages, the podcast that bridges the generational gap all across the board. I am Mary, and I am a baby boomer.
I'm Lorena, and I'm a millennial.
I'm Zach. I'm the producer of this podcast. I'm also a millennial.
And today we're talking about something very close to my heart. Music and playlists. Like, what is on? Well, first of all, wait, let's cover this among the three of us. What, do you listen to music on? I use Spotify.
I usually use Pandora.
It changes for me, honestly. And it's maybe like that very thing, like the reason I don't have like one spot, it's something that I'll dig into a little bit more, but sometimes I'm on YouTube, sometimes I'm on Apple Music, sometimes I'm on Spotify. It depends.
Do you pay for Apple Music and Spotify?
I use my mom's Apple Music account.
And we have the family sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Spotify, actually it would probably be worth it to do Spotify, but since I have Apple Music, I don't pay for Spotify.
So you do with ads on Spotify.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm always curious just if people subscribe or if they do free. Nice. All right. So then wait, if you're listening on Pandora, how do you make playlists, Mary?
From Apple Music.
You do on Apple Music?
I do, yeah. I make my playlist from Apple Music, but I haven't listened to it in a while because it's very outdated, which is kind of what made me think about like, hey, what's going on with your playlist now, guys?
I basically make a playlist like every other day.
Wow.
Really?
I'm not a good person. I have literally like thousands of playlists because I use it for like my own personal enjoyment, but also like for work kind of stuff. You know, like if I'm working on a song with somebody, I make a reference playlist and we'll do collaboration playlists. Me and Ernesto have collaboration playlists. Ernesto's my producer for anybody that doesn't know. So we'll both put songs on, or I'll just like decide I want to make a mood playlist, or like if I'm getting ready, like when I was DJing a lot in June, you know, I had different playlists for all those different events. And then like I'll start and draft it all on Spotify, and then I'll go into the DJ program and like recreate and like buy whatever I need to buy or whatever. You know what I mean?
Wow. How many playlists do you have?
I don't know. I'll look. I've been a hardcore playlister since the days of LimeWire, though. I don't know.
So
you have a playlist for like everything, for like moods and like your music and DJing. Like you have all these different categories of playlists, right?
Yeah, like I don't know how to see how many playlists you have on your phone, but I have a lot. So I have like, I forgot, my top one is a playlist called Miracles Happen with the fairy emoji. And that's all these like positive, cheesy songs about staying positive, because I was listening to it every morning when I was getting ready in like March, April, when me and Ross, I was like, come on, green card, come on, like trying to be like, I just get us to Ireland. It's just struggling. And I have like, oh, look, dance class. That was for a dance camp I taught a couple weeks ago. Then I follow some people's playlists too. Like if I find a good playlist, I'll follow it, like Irish pub music, happy dinner cooking. And then I have
wow, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you can like follow them and add them to your library. So then I have like Ernest LL and Ernesto Brainstorm. Basically for every song I've ever recorded that's out and songs that aren't even out, I have at least one or two reference playlists for those songs. For like, what's the style of song? Also, what's the style of like, how are we going to mix it? How do we want it to be mastered? Because it's like any creative thing that you have multiple people on board, you have to like, you don't always have to have a reference, right? Like if you're just in the studio together, but especially doing things remotely, like you just cut out a lot of time by being like, okay, we all are going for this general feel. We'll see where it leads. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But yeah. And then I like to have like poolside chilling eating Italian food with my family playlist.
Is that real?
Yes. I always cue the music
Wait,
for
what?
whatever like genre of food we're eating. I need that genre of music like setting the atmosphere, the gazelling, you know.
So if you are getting like,
That's
oh, we're
why
gonna
you
have
are a DJ.
like you'll have Mexican food tonight. Like, oh, I have a playlist for this.
Yeah, mariachi baby, let's go. Also, I have like Mexican food. I have a lot of playlists because I have a lot of Mexican music that I love because of Ernesto and his sister that have shared with me things that would never have come across my radar if not for spending time with them in Mexico City and then them just like sending me stuff that's like, check out this guy, check out this artist that I wouldn't know because they're all singing in Spanish and like I feel like there's like America, like Western world music, and then there's like the Latin has its own Grammys Academy and everything. Like they have their own sector. I mean, it's huge, but it's so crazy that like unless you're a part of that culture, so much does not bleed over into our culture. It's pretty crazy. And their music is freaking amazing. But yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, Zach, how many do you have? That's Lorena. That is why you are the DJ girl.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I just love me. I love music and I love categorizing music. I do. Like, I love it.
That's amazing. I actually, now that you mention it, I remember like going to your house in middle school and seeing your iTunes library and how extensive it was and how organized it was on your, your computer that you had in your upstairs room up there. Really being impressed by that. That's crazy. And now, I mean,
right?
Oh my gosh. You literally have multiple different playlists depending on like what type of food you're having with your dinner. I mean, like with your family. I'm curious, like how specific of podcasts you have. Like, oh, I have a podcast for like when I'm getting my tires rotated. Like, I have a podcast for when
Wait,
I'm.
a podcast? Like,
sorry, a playlist. I keep saying, yeah. Like I'm imagining you have playlists for every like specific thing. Like I have a playlist like for when I'm grocery shopping. I have a playlist.
No, because I don't listen. Like actually today and all the driving I've done like 3 errands basically today. I didn't listen to music at all. So sometimes I like just silence. Like I like not listening to anything. But I don't know. Like I like if I'm in emotion, like I used to be like when in middle school, right? All of my playlists were like emotion driven. So it's like I need to have like a sad dance and cry. I have that playlist to lyrical music. If I have like hip hop, I'm feeling real gangster. Yeah. Or got some DMX and like, and then I'm like, oh, 90s country. Oh, like I just, because like different music fits different moods that you're in.
Right, absolutely. I found that too. And my playlist is completely opposite from Lorena's. Like the other day I had my playlist. I was like, "Oh, let me turn on my playlist." My one playlist, and it is so outdated. Like I was listening to it and I was like, "Okay, next song. Okay, next song. No, not this song." And it was just funny to me how like at one time in my life like that song was so important to me that I put it on my playlist. And now I'm just like, I don't want to hear this song. Like, why is that even on my playlist?
So you categorize your playlist just based on favorite songs in that season of time?
Yes.
Yes. I have those too. I do like winter, summer, fall, basically. Spring. Spring rarely gets a playlist, but yeah. But I do that too and categorize just favorites that have nothing in common together. It's just stuff that I like.
I wasn't really like meaning like seasons like spring and summer.
But
I mean,
you mean
like
seasons of life.
Like seasons of life. Right.
Yes,
And that season of life, I was like, wow. My music choices were not so good then.
They were I had long hair.
They were very I had long hair days.
Yeah.
Not
It's
like
Yep.
before
today
my
with the new
big breakthrough. Yeah.
right?
Oh
Totally.
my gosh.
What's your playlist like, Zach?
I don't have like a playlist right now. Actually, like that's the thing. Like, so I feel like I stumbled very awkwardly through the transition of like we used to live in CD world, and then we kind of moved to a digital music, like, but we had our own digital libraries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I had a lot of playlists on my old computer where I had like my own Mac with all sorts of music that I had downloaded, maybe even paid for, or like CDs or something like that, or like gotten through other more questionable means. But I guess like maybe I need to get into like playlist curation again a little bit, because the thing is now I find that I go and I'll just like, if I'm listening to music, I'll just let something play. Like I because people rarely own music
Yeah.
anymore. There's been a whole shift, and you probably have a lot of like really interesting perspectives about that as somebody who's working in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, what that has turned into is like a less personal kind of relationship with the music that I'm listening to. Like
Yes.
I'm just sort of kind of playing what an algorithm has selected for me, or I'll find another playlist that a human has created, and usually I like those playlists more.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just how it's changed for me over the years.
I have to say, even for me, it's similar. Like, I don't know, because my listening about music has become so like career driven in a lot of, or just like work driven. Like I'm rarely listening to a song and just like not thinking about like, oh, how'd they do that? Oh, I wonder, was that pedal? Is that like how they like, just thinking about like how it's been done or what's going on in it. So then like, and I'll do the same, like where I just look up a Spotify playlist. I'm always curious to see how people have done their songs and everything like that. But like, so when I started DJing in the spring, that like it like reopened a part of me that's like the part of me that used to just be on LimeWire for like hours and hours after school. Like I would just like type in beautiful and then like download all 10,000 songs that have the word beautiful and like, and then I would just listen to them and be like, like, oh my God. And it's like that part of me I totally had become like cynical against as an adult, of like this kind of work mindset, or like, what am I writing? Who am I as an It's like nothing matters, but that like love of music, like through DJing and having to download stuff and like be intentional about what I love and what I think like will elevate a party and like vibe. It's so empowering. It's such an empowering feeling. And I think like just sitting, because we're like so busy and scrolling and like texting and like changing apps and whatever, to just like have to sit still for an hour and intentionally listen to music and ask yourself like, do I like this or not? And go through then to the next is like, it's like a meditation. I think like it's so powerful. I thought, and to build a playlist that like suits you in that moment, and then when you change you can say like, oh, I can hear how I've grown. I can like remember myself in a different way because I felt like this when I used to listen to this, and I still feel that way, but there's a part of me that feels differently, so I know that like I've grown. And I don't know, I love music. I could talk about this for a long time. So sorry.
Wow. You know what? That's so funny because that's exactly when I was listening to my playlist that I have not even pulled up in so long, because I normally just like put on Pandora, and I was like, oh, let me check out my playlist. And it's amazing how like you have grown and you're different now, and like what song suited you then and now it doesn't suit you. And yeah, it's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. That's really interesting too that you listen to Pandora, because my mom also listens to Pandora. And I feel
Mhm.
like that is a very like, what are the kind of artists that do you typically put in when, because don't you have to put in an artist?
Yes. Yeah, you do. You put in an artist. I put in like on my top, I have like just piano music because like
Oh,
when I'm just
nice.
around the
Mm.
house, I just love piano music going. Um, Ed Sheeran, a lot of his,
Oh,
really love his stuff. Um, I also will do Don Williams, the country singer.
yeah.
I love
Oh my
his
god.
Pandora channel. It's so good. It has like a lot
Yes.
of Willie and Waylon on it um
Cool.
yeah, and George Strait. And so I kind of like that vibe too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but what's really funny, like when I was the way the music has evolved when I was young, and we would have 8 tracks.
Hmm.
So, do you guys know about the 8 tracks? Like we would be in our cars, and as teenagers we would have like 8 tracks, and they're like huge tapes, and we would have like these big cases. You would go buy big cases from like Walmart or something, and carry around your music with you in like a suitcase, and you would exchange like 8 tracks with your friends. And then they went smaller, they went to cassettes.
Hmm.
And so then you would have the smaller suitcase with all your cassettes in them, and you would take your cassettes to parties. And so now the way the music has changed and it's so digital is incredible.
Yes. It's really interesting too what you said, Zach, about like nobody owns music. And it's like so true. I think
Mm-hmm.
to the intentionality, like when you
Hmm.
are curating your cassette collection and you're showing up to a party, like this is what I have to offer. There's a whole different like
Mm-hmm.
marriage between your soul and that music, like a
Yes.
commitment
Mm-hmm.
versus like I think too there's so much now of like somebody else could do it for me and they can do it better. But then you kind of lose like that in touch with yourself because I feel like music is such the music that people like is such an expression of their internal world that they don't understand in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you let somebody else decide for you and sometimes it resonates, sometimes it doesn't. It's like it loses that ownership and like real effectiveness. And I even think like
Mm-hmm.
I mean playing live like if it's a bunch of boomers, I can like almost always guarantee they're going to be super receptive. Even if you don't think they are, like it's and maybe it's partly to do with that. Like it wasn't throwaway, like it wasn't disposable, it wasn't an overwhelming amount like you
Mm-hmm.
had what you owned and you loved it and you carried it with you and it represented who you were wherever you went. It's like
Right.
really interesting. I've never thought about that
Yeah.
before. Like
Mm.
Yeah.
getting to own a piece of
Yeah,
that.
and that
Mm-hmm.
it is. I mean, I think I honestly feel like for me that has changed my relationship with music a lot.
Yeah. And like I have like I can go back into Spotify and like there's playlists that I made when I was teaching dance in like 2015 a lot. Like there's like these like contemporary songs I used to love playing, I used to love choreographing to, doing warm-ups to, blah blah. And I can listen to it and go back in time, but the thing with Spotify is like Spotify could crash. Like that app could go away and then I would have kind of no access to those CD like bundles of playlists or like you know what I mean? And not that we
Mm.
need to hold on to everything all the time always. Like I'll always have a relationship with those songs, but it is interesting that there's less ownership. There's just the experience in the moment and then you kind of move on. I don't know if one's better or the other. It's just different. It's weird.
Yeah. I know. I mean, Zach, you're right. Lorena's inspiring me to make a playlist. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it kind of represents like the whole, like you were saying, like, a time in your life. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm
I
totally
think
gonna make a
everyone can
playlist.
benefit. Even people who like don't think they're music people. I'm like, everyone benefits from just like sitting and focusing on things that bring you joy. And like music pretty universally brings people joy, even if they make a lot of excuses and don't think they like it.
Wait,
You know
who
what I mean?
says they don't like music? I've never. How can any? I've never
Like,
met
you don't have to like
anybody
my music, but I know you like freaking music.
like
Like, surely you
music.
like it when somebody like taps a beat. Like,
I
you
mean,
feel it. Like, it's like innate in us. I feel it. Like, our heart beats. Our heart is literally like making music at a hertz, like in our lives. Like, everything our body pulses and does is like so connected to this like rhythm. You know, I don't know. I
yeah,
just can't. I could go
I
on, but
agree. I mean, how
playlist it
like
up.
yeah, life is like music, right? I mean, it's like life is like a
Yeah, it really
melody.
is.
Like I've got to have music in my life. I couldn't imagine if we didn't.
I know. I
But I
agree
definitely have some
with that.
Lorena Lee on my playlist, and I do not fast forward through that.
It's okay if you've outgrown me, Mary.
Oh,
I've outgrown some of my music too.
I was listening. It's been great hearing how your music has evolved.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
from
so excited to release new music. I'm like, oh,
yeah, I love it.
yeah, thank you.
So
Well,
that's all I got, guys.
that's all I got.
I mean,
that's all I got.
I got more, but I got to get busy making me some playlists.
Maybe we'll have a playlist, a little stages collab playlist. We can all put our favorite songs.
Oh,
That's a good idea. We should do it.
Let's do that. I
yes.
guess that if you because you can access on Spotify, you can do collaborative playlists.
Then let's
Can you
do
on
it.
Apple Music. I don't know.
Let's do it on Spotify.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Okay.
All right, y'all. We'll have that.
Let's do it.
Link in the description. Hopefully, if it's done by now.
It will be. It will be.
For sure. And if you guys have any favorite songs, we'll put one on too.
Yeah, let us know. All right, this has been another episode of Stages. Thank y'all for tuning in and have a great day, night, weekend, whatever time it is for you.
Right
Bye.
on.
Bye.
Bye.
And new love, do you know you saved